waifus, trade fights for better views. We both need something new. Maybe we should just tell them.
Hello, high-minded readers, and welcome to the Books and the Bees podcast. Just like bees play a crucial role in pollinating flowers and sustaining life, books pollinate minds and nurture the soul. We see the connection between the two, the delicate dance of ideas and stories that enrich our lives.
I'm Hailey.
I'm Cody.
Welcome to our podcast.
Hello, Hailey.
What up?
It is Friday. Let's go.
It is Friday. Happy Friday.
I don't know if this is our first Friday recording, but I feel like it might be.
I don't know. I feel like we have recorded. I almost said required. Recorded on a Friday.
We might have. I feel like we might have recorded on every day of the week, except maybe a weekend.
Or on like a Monday or a Tuesday.
Okay, so maybe like not that many days.
I'm so sorry. I just realized what I just did. I was just like...
It's like every day of the week except for like every day.
Except for like 4 out of the 7 days.
I do think we recorded on a Monday though, because
okay.
I feel like there was a day where we had to record and I had to edit it the same day because we had like I think it was maybe when I was at a conference or something and something got fucked up and we couldn't record. I don't think we've recorded on a Tuesday, but I could be wrong.
I don't think we have either. For sure not a Tuesday.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think
like
we've recorded
unless we were a full week ahead or something.
Yeah, which... Life said
we're not that coordinated. Yeah, we're not that good. Yeah. we're not that good.
we're prepared, but we're not that prepared.
We're not that prepared. But we do have to record 2 episodes next week, by the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be fun. But listeners won't know. So except for right now, I guess I just let them let them behind the curtain a little bit.
We're freaking Wizard of Oz out here.
Yeah, so true. Well. Yeah, and the reason I'm letting everybody in is because I've had 2 beers today, and it's called Kung Fu Kittens. I'm showing the can to Hailey.
I love that.
It's very good. I like
it
a lot.
Oh, that's so. I love that can. That's cool.
Isn't it pretty? Yeah.
Oh, a hazy IPA.
I love a hazy IPA.
Are you an IPA type person?
I am. I didn't used to be. I used to be a stout.
Ugh.
Porter type person, but they're so heavy and they just sit in your gut and make you feel gross. So I kind of worked my way into the hazy world or the IPA world, and now I love a hazy IPA.
Yeah, there's one company called Irish Death, I think.
Very good.
And Iron Horse. I don't know if Iron Horse owns. I don't know. They do
the dragon stout or something?
I don't know, but there's like a coffee one that they did for a hot minute. And it was good. It was like one of the few dark beers that I like. I'm not a beer girly. I just there's something about it. I do like a good Blue Moon though. I'm one of those.
Ooh, I love a Blue Moon.
Basic ass bitches, but
we were watching we're watching cooking shows right now, and MasterChef has been our most recent favorite show, and they just did an episode where they cooked with Blue Moon, and it was really fun. And then actually the next episode was coffee, so very pertinent to our conversation today.
Hell yeah.
I do love a Blue Moon. I love a citrus anything, honestly. Same. I'm a citrus slut. I will say it right here. I am a big fan of citrus.
I like citrus in a lot of things. I definitely like that citrusy. It brightens up the palate, and
it's beautiful.
I really love. Although speaking of palates, I don't know why, but the word umami just freaking popped into my head. It makes me think of and I hate that word with a burning fiery passion.
It makes me think of an octopus, which is really weird, but that's what I think of when I think of umami. And I don't like it.
I hear it so often in cooking. That's why I'm talking about it. I think it's because we're talking about cooking shows. I hear it way too much. Too much. It's like the new hipster word, and I fucking hate it. It is.
Yeah, that and matcha. I fucking hate matcha, and I cannot stand. Looking at it, I cannot stand. Thinking about it, and everyone's baking with it, and I'm like, stop. stop. Like, stop baking with matcha.
Yeah.
It's tea.
I don't mind it as a tea, and I don't mind it, like, in its natural form, but matcha Kit Kats are pretty much, and matcha Pocky.
Oh, God.
But other than that, I'm not a fan of, like, matcha tea cakes, or, like, matcha pie, or matcha whatever the fuck. It like, gets weird. It gets weird. If you, like, take it out of its, like, pure form, it tastes strange.
I just can't. I don't like any of it. It looks like grass, tastes like grass. I just don't. I have no interest in it at all.
I don't mind it, but
yeah,
I'm a weird individual. Like weird.
I mean, a lot of people like it. A lot of people like matcha. A lot of people like grass. I mean, some people like the smell of grass, like freshly cut grass.
I love the smell of grass. And I
really?
used to, yeah.
Wow.
I used to eat grass. Like, we'd sit, not like the grass green part, but like the root, the white root. I don't know who told me that it was okay to eat it, because like there's probably hella pesticides on it. I probably shouldn't have fucking been eating any of it, because it was always at like soccer fields, which they like spray and shit.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And like
that's
people
so
are like
true.
bodily fluids are, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably not my greatest idea as a child, but I used to sit and pluck the grass and then eat the little white, like, short end of it that's at the root part of it.
Wow.
Yep.
I have never done
here.
that.
Yep.
I can say I can never do the park. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've never done that. That's so funny. Yeah.
This is so tangenty, but I used to cut my dad's, obviously my parents' house. I used to mow lawn, and then I used to do my grandma's house too. And they had a huge, like, just a giant fucking yard. And like, their front yard was okay, but their backyard was giant. And yeah, I just remember like dumping the grass, or like having to like pull the lawnmower over by the grass clip. Ugh. God, that smells terrible.
It's rank. It's so rank. Oh, God.
So
I don't like it. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Do you know what's not rank, though?
What?
What we're reading right now.
Hell yeah.
Should we jump into it?
Let's go segue.
Oh, yes. Let's jump into what we're reading. Hailey, what are you reading right now? I'm so excited for you to talk about your book.
I know. Well, I just finished Lost and Lassoed.
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good. It's literally so good. And I can't say too much about it because there's like hella spoilers. But I can say that it is about one of the couples that have been mentioned in the other books, the previous two. If you haven't read the previous two, go read them. Done and Dusted.
First one's good.
Swift and Saddled. And this third one was like a long-awaited like couple where you're like, finally we get to read about them. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
It's got, I feel that it almost has a bit more depth than the last two, because there was so much build up in the last two books. With these two, because these characters aren't just like, I mean, yes, they're side characters, but they play pretty pivotal roles in the first two books. It's really good. It made me laugh. It made me cry. It was a good book, for sure.
I think I know which characters are the focus of this book. I won't make you say it because I haven't read the second yet, but I think I know which characters you're talking about. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's like when you read the first and second one, even just the first one, you can kind of tell that like what's coming. But overall, it's just such a good book, and I love when authors do this. I know it's not every author that does this, but a lot of them do this, where they put like a little sneak peek in the, of like the next book in the series. And I'm even more excited for that book that's coming out next year.
So there's going to be 4.
Yeah, there's going to be 4. Yeah.
Oh,
there's one more couple, and I'm very excited about the next one. Cause,
Let's go.
It's
I don't know why. I thought there was going to be only 3, but...
I think somewhere I read in maybe one of like the author prologue, or maybe she talked, because I'm in her Lyla Sage's like Instagram group thing that they have on Instagram. So she gives like updates and shit. And I want to say that like it was supposed to be 3 books, but I think she like had, you know what I mean? Like writing creativity struck and she like was like, yes, we have to do another book. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I could totally be wrong. But I want to say that's what I remember. But don't quote me. Don't quote me.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good book. Highly recommend it. If you haven't,
it's a good series. Yeah. It's a good series.
I will say, I guess I can say, it's like small town, Wild West, ranch type, kind of like an, I wouldn't say found family, but kind of a little bit of found family.
Yeah, I would say it is. Yeah. I would. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the first one was definitely, yeah,
it's got like some single dad stuff, which like I'm not always the biggest fan of that, but the way if it's written well, and it's not necessarily like the focal point of the book, I like it, and this was really well done. So
yeah,
kudos to the author Lyla Sage for writing a kick-ass series. It's really good.
Can you honey scale it for me?
Honey scale, oh yeah. It's definitely like Beekeeper's Passion, leaning into honey. Parentheses.
Okay.
It's nothing too crazy, so let's keep it like a Beekeeper's Passion. It's pretty. Okay. There's some hot and heavy scenes for sure.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
I don't remember what I put the first one at, but I feel like that one was probably at least a high hug for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely on page.
Yeah. 100%.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I told Hailey before we started recording, I have Swift and Saddled, which is book 2, on hold, and unfortunately my holds are kind of all over the place right now, so I checked it out, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it in time, so I'm going to do my best, but we'll see what happens.
I'm hopeful for you.
I'm excited though. I'm excited to read it. I really am.
Yeah, and then the 4th one, kind of spoilers, but like not really, because it's out on Goodreads. It comes out on April 15th of 2025, and it's called Wild and Wrangled. So I love the alliteration.
That's a good title.
Too. It is. It's so good.
That's a really good title. Let's go. Yeah. I love it.
Yep. What books are you getting into?
So I had a phenomenal weekend where I checked out this book that I kind of took a gamble on. I heard about it on a podcast and I thought I would try it. It's called I'm Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom by Jason Pargin. Or maybe Pargin. I'm not sure. I didn't look up how to pronounce your name, so I'm sorry if I misdid it. And I finished it in a weekend. It was so freaking good. It is kind of like a sci-fi, but really not. Basically, this girl orders a Lyft driver who happens to be this kid who's like in his early 20s, and he lives with his dad who he doesn't really like, and he's kind of like a streamer with a small amount of viewers and is like figuring himself out, and his dad is like this very like type A construction worker, you have to work your ass off till you die type of person. Mm-hmm. And the girl asks the guy to deliver this black box, which is like a music crate. You know what I'm talking about? Like the music crates that like bands use. Mm-hmm. And she asks him, hey, we need to take this. They live in LA. We need to take this from LA to DC in 4 days to deliver it on the 4th of July to this person who's paying me a crap ton of money. But you can't ask me what's in the box. You can't ask me who we're delivering it to.
Oh, shit.
And we just have to do it. And it just kind of goes off from there. It is a crazy story. I was so invested. It is very fast paced. You really don't know where the story is going until you get to the end of it. And I will say Jason Pargin or Pargin, he wrote a book like maybe 10 years ago now called John Dies at the End, I want to say. I should look that up, actually. It is. John Dies at the End, which is also just a crazy book that I read like when it first came out. This author is really, really funny, and his story is super creative. And it's also very timely. It talks a lot about cancel culture and how sometimes we cancel too soon. Like we don't really give people a chance to, give nuance to what they're talking about. And it kind of gives a perspective on phones that I thought was really interesting. Just really really great book. I think for the time that we're in right now, it was actually really good to read a story like this. So if you are feeling disgruntled from the election that happened in the United States a couple weeks ago, I feel like this book would kind of help you think through it a little bit.
Help them, it was really ungruntle.
Good. Yeah, ungruntle. Yeah, it was really good. Great book. And actually we're going to talk about it in a minute too, because it's a part of the Goodreads Choice Awards, which we'll talk about in just a second. But yeah, it's a great book. Yeah. And then I'm working on a book that I'm really excited about too. It's called Model Home by River Solomon. They are an author that I have been a fan of for a long time. They wrote a book back in 2019 called In the Kindness of Ghosts. That was a really fantastic sci-fi book. And they also wrote The Deep, which I feel like I've talked about a few times on the show, which was like when slaves were carried over from Africa. Some of them fell off the ship and turned into mermaids. And it's kind of like this take on a classic folktale that's in African culture. And it's such a great story. So this book I was really hoping would be good, and it really is. It's kind of being advertised as a horror book about a black family who lives in a white neighborhood, and the house is kind of like fighting against them.
Oh, wow.
But it's really a literary fiction book, and the narration is from the perspective of one of the daughters of this Black couple, and she's neurodivergent. She has a lot of stuff going on. It kind of jumps back and forth in the storyline between her as an adult and her as a kid. And it's just a really interesting story. It's definitely, I would not classify this as horror. This is 100% like literary fiction. If you're not a horror fan, I think you'll like this book. But I will say there are pretty intense elements to the story. So keep that in mind. Definitely check content warnings, but it's really good, and I'm super captivated with it, and I honestly can't wait to finish it.
Hell yeah. That sounds like a good book. I've been meaning to put that other book on the, you said it was The Deep?
Yeah, The Deep by River Solomon. Yep.
I need to put that
And it's narrated, if you listen to it, it's narrated by Daveed Diggs, who was Thomas Jefferson in Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
So very well-known guy.
Probably good to listen to.
Yeah. He also was the crab in the new Little Mermaid. Sebastian, I think.
Sebastian.
Is the crab's?
Yes,
yeah.
Sebastian.
Yeah. He's good. He has a very good voice.
Hell
it's
yeah.
really, really good narration. So, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Great books. Great books.
Good books.
And I will say, I feel pressured because this is the time of year where I transition. Like after October, I feel like I need to focus on books that came out in 2024 to like put on my top 10. And so I'm trying to get through those books that I've been kind of waiting to read. But both of these books might be in my top 10. So like it was worth it, I think.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
They're so good.
We read some pretty fucking good books this year, so.
Oh my God. It's so tough. Like every year, I feel like the amount of books that come out is just so good. It's just so much good content out there. It's hard to keep track.
For sure.
Yeah, so good. Well, that kind of leads into our beekeeping segments, which we actually have a couple to chat about. The first one being that the 2024 Goodreads Choice Award has officially started as of this recording. November 14th is when the first round opened. And there are a lot of categories to look at, including fiction, historical fiction, mystery and thriller, romance, romantasy, fantasy, science fiction, horror, debut novel, audiobook, young adult fantasy, young adult fiction, nonfiction, memoir, history, and biography.
Hella
Did I do that fast enough?
Yes.
Hella categories. And I think the only new one this year is audiobook, which I think is really cool that they had an audiobook section to recognize all the audiobooks out there, because I like that a lot. I do a lot of audiobooks, so I like it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that they're adding that, because it's like becoming a more popular and an easier way for people to consume books. So yeah,
and I think there's a lot of I think for like audiobooks play into specific categories, like memoirs where the author reads the audiobook, I feel like are much more powerful in a lot of ways. So it's kind of nice that they get separated out so that they kind of get recognized that way. Romance books fit really well into the audiobook narration, I think. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's nice that they're getting recognition, and like audiobook narrators deserve credit too. So I'm happy for them.
Yeah, and I just looked up on sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're fine.
I had just looked up on my app because it was kind of hard for me to figure out how to get there. So if you're on an iPhone and you have the Goodreads app, go to that little, it's on the toolbar at the bottom in the extra, and it'll be like with like where your settings and your Goodreads challenge and stuff. There's like a specific button, I guess, to press, and you can click that, and then it'll send you straight to vote for the readers for each of the books. So yeah,
that's true for Android too, I think. Okay. Yeah. Now that you mention that, I think it's like its own category, right? Like it's called Choice of Words, and you click on that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm using it on my desktop because I'm a boomer.
You're not a boomer.
Not really, but yeah, I feel like a boomer. I get on Facebook on my computer. Ugh. Is that weird?
Ew. Ew. Yes, that's bad. Ew.
But to be fair, okay, the reason I did it is because I don't get on Facebook very often anymore. Yeah. So I took the app off my phone.
That's fair.
To not be on it. And then I was in a meeting yesterday, and one of my friends got married, and I wanted to see the pictures. So I went onto Facebook to see a picture of him and his husband, and that's the only reason I went on Facebook.
That's fair, I guess.
But still, it was very boomer-like.
It's like going on like Twitter, RIP, on like the internet and like typing in like twitter.com.
No, that's actually how I get on Twitter.
Get away from me
on a regular basis.
Oh, get away from me right now. No.
That's actually how I get on Twitter.
Oh my god. Readers or listeners, we have a boomer in our midst.
Because it's easier to type on the computer.
Oh my god, that's like the best thing I've heard all day. That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's true. I 100%. I also do Instagram primarily on my computer too.
Oh god.
Yeah, which I honestly don't do any of those that often because I've kind of sworn off social media. But
that's fair. Fun fact about me: I still have the blue Twitter logo on my Twitter because I have not updated it.
Let's go.
It like won't even let me open the app anymore. It's so out of date. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I need to just go in and delete a lot of my
and screw Elon
stuff.
Musk.
Yeah, that too. Boo.
Yeah, boo. A lot of people are going to Blue Sky.
Good.
Which it started off like, I don't know, people were going to it and then they kind of stopped. And I never did because I was trying to swear off social media anyways. But I feel like it's gotten an uptick recently, and I might switch to it because I do use Twitter for like work stuff. Kind of. So
I like to keep up to date on stuff. I use TikTok for a majority of my social media interaction type stuff.
Same.
I'm not
Which I look at on my phone. I do not go to TikTok on the computer. I don't even know if you can, honestly, but
I think that they might now have a internet like domain type situation. Because I think that was like part of the whole, also again a tangent, I'm so sorry. That was part of the whole when they were doing the lawsuit for America, it not being allowed in the US, and that was one of the things is they were like, well, it's an app, so we can just kick it off the thing, and then TikTok was like, well, shit, let's make a fucking like domain real quick, and I don't know. I could also just be talking out my ass. That's just what I think I heard.
Yeah, I believe it.
Sphere. So,
well, to circle back to what we're talking. I don't know where we got off the rails with that, but Goodreads has their choice awards out. The first round is November 12th through the 24th, and then sorry, my computer's not working. The final round is 26th through December 1st.
Wow.
The winners are going to be announced December 5th, so it's pretty soon actually. So as you're listening to this, you only have a few days left for the first round. So make sure you get in to vote because there's a lot of great categories. I'm going to vote. I won't tell you who I'm voting for because I don't want to like manipulate the system, although I don't know if we have the viewership to like completely shift the Goodreads voting.
That would be kind of cool, but also
that would be cool.
Yeah, make sure that you vote for who you really want to, because I definitely just accidentally clicked on someone, and that is not who. And you only get one vote per category.
No.
So
yeah.
Oh well.
Also, don't vote for books you haven't read outside of the accident that just happened, maybe. But
it was a book that I read, but I definitely didn't.
Okay. I know a lot of people like read like. The Stephen King in horror is infamous because everybody votes for him even though they haven't read it. It's like, stop. You haven't, like, don't. It's not worth it.
Stop.
And also, Stephen King has won so many accolades. He does not need to win the Goodreads Choice Awards. I feel like that can go to other people. So, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
I know.
Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, that's happening. We have the link to it. If you don't know what Goodreads is, I'll post the link in there for you.
Hell yeah.
So you can go check it out. And go vote for all your favorite categories. But the next award winner we have to announce, is the Booker Prize, which we actually showed all the nominees last week, so I won't list them all again. But the winner was announced Tuesday last week, and it is Orbital by Samantha Harvey, which also happens to be listed as a finalist for the sci-fi category in Goodreads Choice Awards. So congratulations to Samantha Harvey for doing such a great job. I have not read this book yet, but it sounds really good, and I'm super excited to read it.
Let's go.
Yeah. In fact, I was going to pull up the thing for it.
Congratulations to that author.
Yeah, and the cover's beautiful, too. Oh, that's a really long... I'm not going to read that. That's really long.
You can go look it up.
It's on Goodreads. It's on Goodreads. Go look it up. Yeah, go look it up. That's for you guys to do. We give you a little bit of homework here on the Books and the Bees.
Yes.
Yeah. But congratulations. Booker Prize is a really big award, so I think it's worth mentioning them. And yeah, it looks like a great book, so I'm really excited to read it. Cool. And then there's one more like list to go through, which is Illumicrate did the top 100 sci-fi and fantasy books based off of the New York Times top 100 books of the century, which we talked about a few episodes ago. And we commented on how there really wasn't a lot of genre fiction. It was all kind of general fiction, or even I think nonfiction was even a part of that book or about that list as well. So Illumicrate did only sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, the top 100 that was voted on by fans. And I have to say, it's an amazing list. Obviously, we aren't going to get through all 100 of them, but there's a fantastic amount of books on here. I will post the link to it in the show notes. And I will say, out of the top 10, I recognize a lot of them. This Is How You Lose the Time War is number 7, which is a book that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Getting the Ninth, which is very famous, is number 5. The Poppy War, which is one of my favorite books, the Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang, that's in the top 5. Percy Jackson series is up there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's Hunger Games is number 1. So by Suzanne Collins, which is I actually love Hunger Games. So
Twilight's number 9. Let's go.
Yeah, Twilight's good. Yeah, so check this out because I think it's a really fun list. It doesn't have romance. It's just sci-fi, horror, and fantasy, but it's definitely, I would say, more towards the kind of viewership that we prescribe to with this. So go check it out. Go find some good books to read.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we love it. Wow.
Yeah, it's got some good stuff. Definitely go check it out. See what they...
Yeah, and I like the website too. It's easy to navigate.
Yeah, I like the 10, like each category is like by 10 increments.
Yeah.
Which is
it's really nice.
So you're not just scrolling through a giant list of 100.
Yeah, that's so true.
Which I don't like.
The Scythe series is on there by Nick Schusterman. That's really good. I love that series. N.K. Jemisin has a series on there. Yeah, it's good. I still
need to read Scythe.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
Oh, Shadow and Bones on there? I need to read that.
I'll say this on the pod. I read the first book.
Yeah.
I did not continue the series.
Ugh.
Yeah, but I think I just got confused, I think, with the story a little bit. It just didn't jive with me, but I know a lot of people like it, so I won't bash it. It just wasn't my thing, I think.
Yeah, I've heard lots of good things about it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, The Priory of the Orange Tree. Sorry, I'm going through it right now.
I love that book. I love that book.
I've heard really good things about it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Lots of people talking about it.
Yeah, it's a beefy boy too. Definitely a honker. Yeah, it's like 800 pages, I think.
Shit.
And the prequel is even bigger.
Oh
yeah,
God, that's crazy.
It's a big book.
No.
Yeah, it's a big book.
Yeah, I don't. That's a little bit more than I like to bite off to chew when I'm reading a
big book. Yeah, it's like the Crescent City books.
Yeah,
I would say
those books were almost too much for me to be.
Yeah,
completely.
They're
honest.
about the same size. Yeah.
And I was reading them. I think I was reading them. I read the first one. I haven't read the other two. I read the first one on my phone, and my God, did it take me forever.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Because it was like, it like condensed it down to like over 1,000 pages or some insane freaking thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, absolutely not.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Go check out this list. Go check out the Goodreads Choice Awards. Look at the Booker Prize, not just the winner, but the nominees as well. And I'll post the nominees into our show notes as well, so you can go look at them. But yeah. This is what I love about end of the year is like everybody's kind of reminiscing on the year as readers, what books came out, what do they like about reading, all that I think is so much fun. I just love looking back at all the progress we make over the year and seeing how it worked out. So it's my favorite time of the year, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, and I have a little bit of bookkeeping, kind of.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's Emily McIntyre made New York Best Time Seller.
No way. Oh, congratulations to her.
And Lyla Sage.
Oh, cool.
Because their books dropped on like legit the same day. Let me look it up because I think she said what like position it was in or some damn thing. Sorry, bear with me for like 5 seconds.
I'm bearing.
While I go, instant #1 New York Times bestseller.
That's freaking for Emily McIntyre.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. That's crazy. And awesome. I love that. Yeah, I love that for her and her team and her books and all that. That's cool.
Yeah, she does a lot, so.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where, like, you like to see people win, you know?
Yeah. And her series is just, I mean, everybody talks about her series, so it's good that it's getting that level of recognition.
Hell yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Yay, we love that. We love it. Cool. Mm-hmm. All right, should we jump into our topic of the evening?
Yeah, let's do it.
We are going to discuss it. Actually, we brought this up last week and thought we'd do a whole episode on it. We're going to discuss reading doorways.
Yes.
Which, if you don't know what that means, it is kind of this idea invented by Nancy Pearl, where she's a very well-known librarian, very high-profile librarian, and she basically identified 4 ways that readers connect with books. Mm-hmm. And the 4 ways, also named doorways, are prose, character, setting, and writing style. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Plot. I already said prose. Prose is writing style. So plot, character, setting, and writing style, prose.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is a really good way to think about what you like when you read books, because for people who, let's say for me, for example, I feel like for me, when I read a book that I really like, a good majority of the time, it's because the characters stood out of the page and they meant something to me and I really was interested in their lives. Mm-hmm. That's what I really love with books that I enjoy. And when I pitch my books to other people, I want to be able to convey to them how they're going to like it. And so if they're people who also enjoy characters, they're going to like the same books I do. Yeah. But if they're people who like plot, they might not be invested in a character-driven story. They might prefer a plot-driven story. And so the book that I'm recommending might not be for them per se.
Yeah.
Or, something along those lines. So it kind of gives you a way to find books that you're going to like more, but also help you suggest books for other people in your life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think of this, Hailey? These reading doorways.
I think it's really cool, and I didn't even know about it until you mentioned it in the last episode. And basically, I just didn't know like what it was. And now that I do know what it was, it's really cool because I never really, I guess, gave it much thought. And now that I have given it a little thought, I was like, oh wow, I really am one of those people where I think my like main door is the prose. I think is that yeah. And then I would almost say prose, then probably character, then story, then setting. The setting of a book really for me just does not. I don't need it to be in a certain setting to be able to enjoy a book, if that makes sense. I don't know.
That makes sense. I feel like that makes sense for you.
Yeah, and I don't know a lot of people who really, at least in my circle, anyways, that's the first thing that they talk about is the like world building part. I feel like the majority of people that I know that are, you know, readers and we talk about books and shit, they're almost like character first, then kind of similar to you, their character, and then probably story, or maybe character, then the prose, then the story. But yeah.
I would say for me, I think I'm character first, but I think I'm setting second. I really do.
Okay.
Because I do, like, I love a sci-fi story where, like, shit's hit the fan and you're in a post-apocalyptic world, or like the book I mentioned, Modern Home by River Solomon. You're like, there's still that kind of like horror house type element to it, but it's still that book is actually, I think, more of a prose book, but I'm still enjoying it. So I would say for me, it's character, setting, plot, and then prose last. I think the last thing I recognized is prose.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
See, and I'm one of those people where, like, when I'm reading too, my brain, I don't know if it's like, I don't know what it is, but if I'm reading a book and I start critiquing it too much, I did this a lot with, like, when I was really big on reading fan fiction, like during college, because I read a lot of fan fiction during college, and which, like, no hate, I love fan fiction, but I would find myself like critiquing the like grammar and the writing style, or the like phrasing and words that they even like published books. If you listen, there's some like words out there that give me an instant ick, and if you put them in your freaking book, I will immediately put it down. Immediately.
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
I'm just saying. Like if a sentence or a phrase gives me a cringe, I can't. Yeah. And if I can't, it like takes me a hot minute. I have to like put the book down and like walk away and then come back to it and like flip a page or two and then be like, okay. But yeah, I just really love when authors and their voice comes out. But I'm pretty big on character development, and I think that's why I loved the Throne of Glass books so much, was because there was so much character development. And I think that's why I like my like contemporary romance books too, because there's also a lot of like it's very character and story driven.
I would agree.
You know, type books. So if you know but you know what, I can read a book with no plot and it'd be just fine. Like plot and setting are really like kind of down there for me. They're like neck and neck for last, because if a book has no plot but the characters and like the way it's written is good, I can get through it.
Yeah, I like a little bit of plot, but I can get by without it. I feel like the books that I think are my favorite, the TJ Klune book that I just read last week, 100% character book, but it is a fantasy world, so like the setting is more interesting than it normally would be. The romances that I really feel like I enjoy have a very strong character element. If it is setting, like if it's a romantasy, then I'm definitely more interested. Like I think Fourth Wing is, I don't know if I would call that a character book. I feel like I would.
That's it's like a setting and a story. Like
I would say, yeah. I think I'd agree with you, and I think that's why it's like not my favorite, because ACOTAR and Throne of Glass is character and setting. And actually, even the setting is not as big of a thing as it is the character, and so those ones just kind of jump up for me. And so I like to have that. I like to have that character, go through a journey, come out on the other side, do better. And I love to have, some really hard situation, like, I'm thinking of the book Lost Dark Dreaming that I talked about a few weeks ago, where they were in that skyscraper in the dystopian world. Like something like that just really is interesting to me. The plot itself is not stuff that I usually remember for books.
Okay. That makes sense.
And the prose, like, I never pay attention to the cadence of the book as far as like the writing style.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because that's just something like that I remember I had, like, whenever I think about like writing style, I always like can't help but think about we used to do a lot of those what the hell are those called? They're like 10-minute, 5-minute like writing, like quick writes. I don't remember what they're called though. You do them
I know
in
what
school.
you mean.
Yeah, and you just like, they're like free writing, but
yeah,
you like pick a category and then you just write about, like, you just make shit up essentially. And we used to do that a lot. And I remember one of my teachers was really heavy on like making sure to, like, on our papers, because we'd like do the quick write and then we'd like turn them in and it'd be like, a participation grade. And I remember her often commenting on everyone's like voice when they would write. So I don't know if maybe that just like stuck with me as I've gotten older, and like that's why I really like why I look for it now. But I don't know. But yeah, and when it comes to setting, like when I think world building, I don't know why, but I keep thinking of like the and nothing against not House of Dragons. Oh my gosh, Game of Thrones. Like nothing, because I tried.
That's a good example.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried reading.
That's a setting book.
It's a setting book through and through. Yeah, oh my god.
Setting and plot, like that one's definitely
huge plot, and like the characters. Like maybe that's why it was so hard for me to really get into those books, because like I guess spoilers, but like when I only read like halfway through the first one. I couldn't even get through the first one because of how detailed they are. They're very detailed books. And there's a lot of stuff going on, and so like each chapter is and at first you're being introduced to new characters in each chapter, so you go from like, and also spoilers, like Sansa's point of view, and then you'll go to like John's point of view, and then you'll go to friggin' the Tyrion's point of, like you go through each like person's point of view, and you're not really getting to, like, you're almost getting to know the character, like, through what's happening, and, like, how they're 100%. Navigating, like, what's happening 100%. In the story, but all the while, there's all this, like, holy god information of, like, what the fuck kind of world they're going through.
Yeah.
It's so detailed. It's, like, stupid detailed. It reminds me of, like, the way that people describe, like, Lord of the Rings, and, like, that sort of their sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, it's okay. No, it's okay.
I was actually thinking about Lord of the Rings while you were talking, and like the delineation between Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings for me is like Game of Thrones, you're right, characters, we don't get to know them because they die so fast, and so like that's not a spoiler. Everybody knows characters die in Game of Thrones. It is just not. It's not a character book. It is 100% a setting book. It's 100% a plot book. Lord of the Rings for me, the books is a prose book, actually, I would say. Okay. Because like J.R.R. Tolkien is, I think, a master of writing style. He was a professor at Oxford. He literally wrote the Oxford Dictionary. So like his prose, I feel like, is what people really recognize in that series, especially like he wrote poems and like songs in those books that, like, the movies are very good, but they just don't carry that across. And so I feel like Lord of the Rings is kind of like a prose style, and Game of Thrones is like a setting plot style. Which I've read them all. Like, I've read all Game of Thrones. I've read Lord of the Rings.
Kudos to you, because I cannot.
I will say Game of Thrones, I enjoyed the first two probably, and then I think I don't know why I read the last book. I did not enjoy at all. I don't even know why I finished it. I did enjoy Lord of the Rings. The prose is beautiful. It's just I think it's because the movies have just a soft spot in my heart that I just had to like them because of that.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting how the fantasy books are different in that respect. Like the two pillars of fantasy that we think about nowadays are Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, and they're very different from each other in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Because they're just like, they're such massive worlds. Like, I think that's like I think of setting when I think of those two, is because there's so much to them. Like, and
there is setting, like Lord of the Rings has setting books. Like, there's an appendix at the end of Return to the King that's very setting.
Crazy.
There's the Silmarillion, which is like nothing but world building.
Yeah.
And then the other accessory books that I haven't read for Lord of the Rings. Yeah. I mean there's so much out there. Yeah.
I can see the language now too, because like if you think about it, like they literally created like a whole fucking language based out of that. Like, that's insane. Yeah,
100%.
I think which, like, also just like kudos if you're an author out there, and I don't know, you're listening to this for whatever reason, like, which, like, thanks if you are, but if you're creating languages in your books, like whole new from start to finish, like, you're brilliant. Yeah, you're a fucking genius.
It's hard. I feel like it's really hard.
Insane.
Yeah. And I feel like neither of us are really plot-driven people. So I think that tracks with our reading, because we don't really talk about mysteries or thrillers, which to me seem like the number one. Like plot-driven books. Like, I'm thinking of, who's that author that everybody loves right now? Oh crap. Colleen Hoover. I feel like her books are they more plot? I've actually never read one, but I feel like they're more plot driven than anything else.
It's been a very fucking long time, and I'm not a big fan of her. No shit to people who enjoy her books, because I know she's a very popular author. But for me, they're very plot heavy, and maybe like secondary character heavy. Like, I don't remember because a lot of them have to deal with like I've never met someone who has read a Colleen Hoover book and was not like in some way had some sort of like emotional reaction, which I feel like a lot of, like, you either have an emotional reaction because of a character or the like plot, so that's kind of, if that clues anyone in on like her type of books, then that's kind of, I'd say that's true.
Yeah, maybe our listeners can reach out and let us know, because I've never even touched a Colleen Hoover book, I don't think. But yeah, like, the plot for me, every once in a while I'll read a plot book. I feel like I could maybe I read like 1 or 2 mystery books a year just for like the fun of it. But they just I don't like them for very long. I'll say that.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think the book that I read, it's been a while now, Laura the Wilds, is a pretty plot-driven book. Yeah. There's lots of like, I don't want to say like twists and turns, but like it's pretty dependent on like what's happening in the book, and you kind of have to pay attention, because there's some things that like are, and which I really love authors that can do that, where they take a book and they kind of like almost surprise you at the end, or there's like key things that are happening in the background that like you don't realize are going on until you get to like a certain point in the book, and you're like, oh shit, that's what that meant. Okay. Which is cool. I think Emily McIntyre is a little bit like plot driven. I like her style, and I like her characters too, obviously. But yeah, there's some good plot, but she also based her books off of villain retellings from a villain's point of view, and I feel like that takes a lot of like imagination on her part to create, to like almost get in like a villain's head, of like how they would navigate, like if their story was being told. I think that's really cool, and that's why I like her books so much, is because it's kind of a different take on like a typical story, but
no, I think it's true. I totally agree with that. I totally agree. It's I learned about this on the Reading Glasses podcast. I'll give them a shout out, even though I talk about them pretty regularly.
They're good podcasts.
And I feel like it's helped I feel like it's helped a lot with how I think about what books I'm gonna like. Like I do tend to lean towards character and setting books because I know that's what I'm going to dig for. So, and I kind of feel like people do that on their own without thinking about it. Yeah. Because when you talk to other people about books that you like, you tend to either talk about the characters, the setting, the plot, or the prose. Like, it's like, oh, this book is really good because the writing style is beautiful. And I just enjoyed reading it so much because the author's very like profound in how they write. Or like, oh, this book is amazing because the characters are they jump out of the page and talk to you, and you're sitting with them when they're talking about whatever they're talking about. And so I feel like people do that. People talk about doorways without actually knowing what the doorways are, which I think makes a lot of sense because the doorways I feel like are spot on. I really think it makes sense to think about books this way. Yeah.
I agree. I was just looking at this article with the doors, and they mentioned the Mortal Instruments, and I totally forgot. That's one of the series that I really loved growing up that I read.
I don't think I ever read it.
They're pretty good. I don't really like the movies very much, and they're definitely like a young adult like fantasy type thing.
Okay.
But good. I liked them growing up. Anyways, I don't know. I could probably read them now and not like them. I don't know. But
that's true.
But I remember very much liking them, and I remember like begging my mom to like take me to Borders to go get the next ones. And I think my mom also read them. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's a big like mystery thriller type person. So for her to read those books, I feel like is kind of says something.
I can honestly say I don't think these were ever on my radar.
Yeah, they're pretty good. From what I remember, I don't think I finished them though, the whole series, because they were coming out as I was like aging. So. Oh really? Yeah, I think like the last couple were coming out as I was exiting high school. I think. Yeah. That does make it tough. It does make it really tough when you age out of a series. It's like trying to stay. Yeah, that's tough. I'm really glad that I finished Twilight before I became an adult. If I were to reread those books, I think I would be like, this is not what I remember. Yeah, it's best to let that demon lie, I think. Yep. Yeah. Sure. So I would encourage all of our listeners to think about what doorways you like the most, because it helps you talk about books that you like to other people, and it helps you recommend books to your friends. Because if you ask them, like, what did you like about the book? Did you like the characters? Did you like the prose, et cetera, et cetera? And so you can give better recommendations and think about like what you did like a book, what you didn't like about a book, and make yourself into a better reader. Because at the end of the day, we're here to have fun and to read the best books for us. And the best books for me are not going to be the best books for Hailey in every case. And the best books for us are not going to be the best books for you. So you need to figure out what books you want to read and what books you don't want to read so that you're happy at the end of the day. Yeah. And I love the Reading Doorways idea. I will post the link to the website in our show notes, and there is a TED Talk that Nancy Pearl did that talks about this. Wow, so cool. I would recommend checking that out too. It's very good. I think it's like 15 minutes long, but definitely worth checking out. So love good TED Talk. give it a listen. I do too. I love TED Talks. They're so good. Are so cool. Yeah, they're very good. And if our listeners want to share with us their Reading Doorways, you can email us. Our email is booksandbeespod@gmail.com. Our Instagram is @booksandthebeespod. We would love it if you would share with us what you think about Reading Doorways and what doorways you might prescribe to. Because I would love to talk to a plot-driven person. I think Hailey's the first person I've talked to that's prose-driven, so I'm very... it's very interesting to talk to Hailey and like kind of piece that together, because I don't think I've ever met with anybody that's been prose first. So it's very cool. Thanks. Yeah. And then you could give us a review on your podcast listening app, either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We would love it if you gave us a review, especially if it was 5 stars. It does help us get more listeners, and we love that because we always want to grow the Hive Mind. So it really does make a big deal for us. So thank you so much for doing it if you have already. And if you haven't, please do so, because it really does help.
And of course, I'll give a shout out to the American Indie for the use of their song Rendezvous. It's the intro and outro to our podcast. It's a banger. Go follow them on TikTok. Go listen to them on Spotify because they do good music and we like them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hailey, got anything else to add?
Yeah, just that Nancy Pearl is like a really cool library name. Like, librarian. What a perfect librarian name. I was just thinking about that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's a good name. I like it. Yeah. Good name, Nancy. Good job.
Yeah. Good job. All right. Well, we hope you enjoy this literary journey as much as we did. If you're buzzing with excitement, don't forget to subscribe, email us, and leave a high five worthy review on your podcast listening app. Until next time, happy reading, and may your shelves be filled with tales as enchanting as a blooming garden. Keep the buzz alive, and we'll catch you in the next chapter. Bye for now.
Bye.